Welcome back to this edition of Farm Fact Friday. Did you know that at all 9 schools in the Encinitas Union School District, including Farm Lab, have a waste diversion program? At all of our campuses, we have a scrap cart, like the one you see here, that allows us to take our food scraps and trash from our snacks and lunches and divert some of our waste away from the landfills. So here's Ms. Smith, and she will tell you about how we sort our trash here at Farm Lab.
Here at Farm Lab, we like to sort all of our trash so that we can recycle as much as possible and have as small amount as possible that will go into our landfill trash. So the first one we have here is for worm composting. That's things like fruits and vegetables that the worms really like to eat to make compost that we then use over in our farm. We have another bin that's for citrus only, things like oranges, lemons, limes, tangerines. Worms do not like citrus, so we have to separate that one out. Next, we have milk cartons. It can also be juice boxes, any kind of a carton that some sort of beverages come in, that would go in here. Our mixed recycling is plastic containers, maybe from a lunch, paper bags, aluminum foil that has all the food scraped off of it. That we can put in here for further recycling. And then we have the redeemables. Things like plastic bottles, aluminum cans that can be returned to stores for money, for the value of them. And our last one is the landfill.
Now let's pause for a second. We have mentioned that we are trying to recycle as much trash as possible so it doesn't end up in our landfills. But what exactly is a landfill? A landfill is a system of garbage or trash disposal in which waste is buried between layers of the earth. These pictures show landfills overflowing with garbage that will take a very long time to break down and decompose. We are trying to do our part in recycling and reusing our food scraps and waste so we don't add more garbage to the landfills. Now, let's go back to Mrs. Smith so she can show you what type of trash we put in our landfill bin.
This is the one that we hope to keep the smallest. Things like Ziploc bags, wrappers that come off of prepackaged food, those all go into the landfill. So this is our scrap cart that we have here to minimize our waste for the landfill.
Mrs. Smith just commented on the worm bin and talked about how the worms like fruit and vegetable scraps. So let's go find Ms. Crenshaw, where she will show you where our worm bins are on the farm, and she will discuss why this method of waste diversion is a sustainable practice.
Hi friends! Many times when students visit at Farm Lab, they wonder about these wooden boxes. These boxes hold our worms, and they are working hard to break down fruits and vegetables. This type of composting is called vermiculture. Let's take a look. You see them in there? When worms eat fruit and vegetable scraps, they leave behind what's called casings. This is a highly nutritious natural fertilizer. We take this fertilizer and we put it around our crops. Plants love worms and worm casings. Putting fruits and vegetable scraps into our compost is keeping it out of the landfill. This is our part for taking care of the environment. But remember, friends, worms do not like citrus. They don't like oranges, grapefruits, limes, lemons, tangerines, and they don't like spicy things like onions. Thanks for listening.
Since the worms do such a great job of turning our fruit and vegetable scraps into compost, I started to think, what happens to any leftover scraps on the farm after harvesting the produce? I'm on my way to find Farmer Catherine, where she will show us another method of composting which allows for our food waste to stay out of the landfills.
Here at Farm Lab, we grow a lot of lettuce for the salad bars at the schools. Sometimes what happens is we don't get to harvest all the lettuce and it goes to bolt, which means it's flowering, or there's a lot of lettuce left in the fields here from after we've come and harvested it. So what we'll do is we'll come in and we're actually gonna just twist some of these up and we'll collect them and bring them over to our green waste pile. So are at our static compost pile. We call them static because we kind of layer in the green waste with browns and just set it and forget it from anywhere between 1 to 3 months. As you can see here, we have our greens on top. Here's some of our browns. So in composting, it's important to have a good balance between your browns, which is your carbon source, and your greens, which is your nitrogen source. So once we get enough greens here, we come in, we bring a load of browns on top. So here we are at a finished compost pile. We flipped this a few times with our tractor, and what we're left with is beautiful, rich, dark compost. So you can see there's no signs of any green waste in here anymore, and if we smell it, it smells nice and earthy, so it's ready to go out onto our fruit trees.
Well, that wraps up this week's Farm Fact Friday video. Here to close us out are the Farm Lab worms reminding you to think twice before throwing your old food scraps in the trash.